over the last few weeks, fair to say, you've been a little hot and cold in some of the performances. Last weekend didn't quite go as planned at Northampton, still got away with something. Is that as much to do with the opposition, the qualities of the opposition this year, or as much to do with you slipping slightly?
It's always going to be a mixture of both. I thought Northampton turned up in a fantastic frame of mind to really fight for everything in the game. And although we certainly have more than a foothold in the game, and we certainly feel we have ways of winning the game, it was probably just one of those nights that kind of slipped away from us. Because although we were hugely dominant in some areas, like the scrum, and our possession stats and territory stats were huge, actually when it came to being really clinical and really right on the edge of where we wanted to play, we were probably a little bit off that. That said, when you look at the second half, really, if we don't throw an interception pass, we're probably going to win the game. That's what it kind of looked like at the time, because we were building all the pressure. And so the game did swing on individual moments, but we prefer to talk about, did we really go up there and demand the win and force the win, and we probably didn't, and that's the bit that's disappointed us. That said, I've also said to the players, you've got to appreciate the bigger picture. We're halfway through a Premiership season with more points collected than we ever have before. We're top of the Premiership. If you look over the last 5 games, we're the form team in the Premiership. We've collected more points than anybody else over the last 5 rounds. There are a lot of positives there, and it does feel odd for people to say that we're dipping in form.
The expectations have just risen so high.
Just like I say, sometimes it feels a bit odd when people say we're dipping in form, and actually we're the informed team in the Premiership if you look at points gathered over 5 or 6 rounds. So it's one of those interesting things. But I think what we've got to focus on is that we weren't at the levels against Northampton we were the week before against Saracens. There are loads of reasons for that. A short turnaround against the Northampton team who had a long turnaround. Went from a Friday to a Friday. We went from the Saturday to a Friday. Obviously Christmas was right in the middle of it, and we had to travel away on a pretty busy couple of days as well, on a long trip. And there's a few coughs and colds and bugs around. There was lots of reasons for us to be slightly off, and they probably all contributed a little bit to a performance that still scored 4 tries. And still picked up a losing bonus point, and still was very close to winning the game. And so really, although I can be critical, and I have been, I'm also got to understand the whys and wherefores of why some performance things do change.
I know you like to block games, and I think you've got a nice natural line with 2018 ending there, with top of that league, as you say, knowing exactly what you have to do in Europe to have any chance. How easy is it to just focus on Bristol this week, knowing what's coming, 2 huge games?
Well, I think you've got to have a big focus for Bristol, because actually Bristol is they're running into those games. So we've actually talked about this game being one of those 3 in a way, and then actually our performance levels and the way we want to play and the intensity we need to practice playing actually all come into play in this game. We're not, and I know that sounds a bit like we're looking beyond it, but we're not. We're looking at this game as the opportunity to practice what we'll need to be able to perform like in those 2 games. And I think that's the way you've got to look at all your performances, that they should be stepping stones to becoming a better team and stepping your way forward into bigger games. And that's very much how we focus on this game, that we expect the qualities of what the players show to be a definite stepping stone into Europe.
And Bristol aren't Bristol of old, are they? They're capable of beating anyone, as they've shown this season. They gave you a scare when you met them earlier, so it's not like they're a team you take for granted anyway.
Oh no, I mean, without doubt, we didn't take them for granted. We're not there. I mean, we were delighted to win. We understood there was a lot of pressure there. I think if you look at how that game fell, it fell after a European block and a Premiership Cup block, where, and in fairness to Bristol, although they were in Europe, they're in the 2nd tier competition, and they kind of had a 5-week block to pretty much prepare for that return to the Premiership. We didn't really have that luxury, so to speak, and it was in the international period. And actually, we had quite a period of disruption leading into that game, and we still managed to get the win. I was delighted with the way the players performed on the day, and we're going to have to perform, with similar qualities this weekend. We can't, as you say, look forward. We've got to look at this game and make it precious for what it is. It's a slightly different scenario because it's kind of the end of a 3-block group of Premiership games. It'll be interesting to see whether the last couple of games coming into this 3rd game has been better for us than it has for Bristol, and those are really interesting things for us to see how we adapt and how we play at home, and whether we can really put our foot down to run into the Cast game next week.